I'm David,
I'm Donald.
I'm Jose.
and this is Wrestling Memories. All right, we're now going to do what we call going to label this the pet peeve episode. We find the most annoying things in wrestling history, and I'm going to start out with something has always been a very popular thing. It has worked out through wrestling history, and I'm not a big fan of it. Tag team breakups. Some have worked. Some I definitely do not agree with whatsoever. The one thing it did work. I didn't know how they did it, how they started to break up, was the Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. I did not like that barbershop where Shawn did to Marty, but they wrestled together very well. Their feud, it wasn't even really a long-term feud, and maybe that's maybe why I agreed with it. It wasn't a long-term planned feud. Their matches were outstanding. But I did not like the barbershop Shawn Michaels kicking Marty Jannetty into what Jim Ross said was actual glass. Well, if that was actual glass, then why was Marty's face bleeding?
It was sort of. I like when tag teams. It depends when tag teams when they break them up. Sometimes I don't like them when they do, but some of them make sense. But that's one of my pet peeves too.
They can't. If there's a few matches, but if they last going on a year or 6 months to a year,
yeah, I know.
You don't want to see your favorites fight.
Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves.
The Rock and Roll Express, I made me sick to my stomach. I was gonna puke.
They had to make them break up too? I don't
In
remember seeing that.
1992, they had Ricky Morton change his name to Richard Morton, and he grew a face beard like Hulk Hogan eventually did. And they had Ricky Morton joined the York Foundation, and then he fought Robert Gibson. I believe it was Great American Bash '92, if I'm not mistaken. It made me want to puke. I was sick to my stomach seeing my favorites fight.
You can never see good teams like that, like the Road Warriors.
Now,
thank God.
The Road Warriors were going to have one, but apparently I don't think the fans would have tolerated it. I think the fans would have boycotted seeing the two of them fight.
Yeah.
The Road Warriors were having a breakup, but apparently the match, allegedly a match was going to be planned for a WrestleMania, but they came out together as Legion of Doom 2000 with Sonny as their manager. That was supposed to be, I think, a Hawk versus Animal match, but they changed it. We weren't going to tolerate watching Hawk and Animal fight.
I think part of when they decide to break it up is if they really think they can push one of them to be a singles competitor, or at least has gotten enough attention to be pushed as a singles contender, which is why the Road Warriors never would have made sense, because at that point, neither of them was really being pushed as a singles wrestler. Even Hawk, who had done a few singles matches, wasn't really being pushed that way.
Yeah.
Whereas Michaels was already getting pushed that way, or in the case of the Steiners, Scott Steiner was already getting pushed that way.
I did see the vague breakup of Rick and Scott Steiner, and I didn't even know they had fought each other. I didn't even know that.
Oh, they had.
I missed that one.
They probably faced each other more than nearly all tag teams, but most of the time their fights were on house shows and not on television programs.
Probably that's why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
The one other that actually made me, it's not to say made me sick, it made me angry. And because what they did with him as a heel outright sucked, was Strikeforce. Tito Santana and Rick Martel breaking up, and Tito Santana approached Vince about being a heel. He didn't. It did. I guess it went one ear off the other, like most plans. And they had Rick Martel come back as the model, which was a raspberries, a crappy idea, piece of garbage idea. Rick Martel. Okay, but the two of them fighting. Tito Santana said they did great. They did great business together.
It was a good tag team.
It's a great tag team.
Yeah.
They need a lot more years together. They did barely 6 months together. But feuding together, no, I couldn't. I could not. They are great tag team wrestlers. Let alone being Strikeforce. But and single competitors, great single competitors. But Rick Martel versus Tito Santana is because they were Strikeforce already. And that's why I could not agree with that. I was more angry than sick. And we were there seeing the breakup of WrestleMania 5, of Strikeforce breaking up.
And getting to that point, I think when it comes to breakups, usually they have to have somebody that's going to automatically be a heel. You usually don't have two faces that'll break up, because nobody really wants to see that kind of a matchup. One of them has to turn,
Yeah.
which is why you never had Dusty and Magnum break up, which is why back to the Road Wars, they never broke up. Usually you won't have two heels break up unless one of them's becoming a face, which is why a team like Doom never really broke up to face each other, why you never really had Harlem Heat face each other.
Well, really, Doom did. What are you talking about? Legion of Doom or
No, Doom.
But
Doom.
Butch Reed and Ron Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get those two messed up.
Yeah.
What's the other team that actually Demolition actually had a match together.
Yeah,
But they didn't broke them up.
Yeah, it was
a Royal Rumble.
and that was
Yeah.
cool.
That was funny.
Because the Rule was ever ran for himself.
Yeah.
And Jesse and was it Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse says, and they went at it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah.
That was a great, what I call testing ground.
Yeah.
Would you like to see them break up? Would you like to see them just fight each other and just
Yeah.
to get out of the system? Which is
Right.
where the Royal Rumble can be a very great idea towards whether you could break
Yeah.
up a team.
One team that it was really a put together team, but they had an on and off feud. They were better as competitors. Something that Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash, Diesel, something. It's not them I'm talking about, but they had a pay per view. The In Your House pay per views. It was Good Friends, Better Enemies. Lex Luger and Barry Windham, and the fans went wild when they defeated. Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson for the Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson are the first Classic champions. But they had a house show in Jacksonville a few months later, and they had Barry Windham join the Horsemen. But it wasn't really a tag team breakup. It was J.J. Dillon and the Horsemen pushing Barry Windham to become a Horseman.
Yes.
And they were saying Luger couldn't tag back in on time, and J.J. Dillon kept saying, he's never around for you. That worked. It was because he joined a team. When Barry Windham joined the Horsemen, and in Lex Luger he had others, but that breakup worked because they weren't a long-term team. You get long-time tag teams, or teams you fall in love with, your favorites. That hurts. It makes you sick that they become a year-long feud.
Yeah. Like when they made Hulk Hogan and Macho Man tag.
That
team.
was a man. Like I said, I was like Luger, Barry Windham. That was a put together team.
Yeah. And
But if you
it was good at first,
if
but
you
then
think of
you
a
knew
team-
it was going to happen.
But
You just knew it was going to happen because
their personalities. Good Lord.
Yeah, you just knew it was going to be a
That's
breakup.
where I thought they made the mistake of how they broke up that team. It's instead of making the issue between the two of them, they made the issue
About Elizabeth.
About Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And that's where the scenario of the Royal Rumble would have been so much better of a scenario.
Yeah.
Because you could have had one of them throw the other guy out and created the hatred then.
Yeah.
And it would have worked for the next 2 months. That's why the year later, when you had Hogan and Warrior, it really hyped up their match 2 months later at WrestleMania.
Right.
Now, strangely enough, about whether the opposite of tag team breakups, teams that you don't think that you would never see, never thought in a million years would work, and they only did one match, was they did 1987, I think, exactly in the year when Roddy Piper teamed up with Hulk Hogan, and strangely enough, it just maybe for one match or so, it worked. Is when enemies, long-time enemies, team up, and then you find that.
That is
Strange.
Roddy Piper has a career of doing that, though, with people he has feud with. He has had a tag team match with Jimmy Snuka. He's had tag team match with Ric Flair. He's had team match, I believe, with Don Morocco.
And be like,
He
awkward.
has a history of teaming up with people he's feud with.
Yeah, and I'd be like, awkward. Make me thinking, what's going on?
When I first started into wrestling, I wasn't really. I just started paying attention into television, and it was 19. This happened in 1985, and it was 1986 when I started watching. And when 1986, when I got used to it was the good guys, the bad guys. 1985, they were friends, and these two were again, I guess, good friends, better enemies. Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. Now, Ric Flair, as the on and off, has been a long-term on and off heel face. There's a photo in Great American Bash, 1985 coverage on Pro Wrestling Illustrated, with Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes on a kind of stage, and they're listening to the country music being played at Charlotte Memorial Stadium. And when I was in school, they said that Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair were friends, and I said 1986 they are feuding like hell. They want to kill each other. and you show this 1985 magazine photo. It says, "What the hell?" You're proving to me. It's just this is a very vague view of thinking. Not wrestling is fixed, but it's very vague. Then I'm starting to learn something. Okay, no, it was Ric Flair was he's on an on and off face. To see him and Dusty Rhodes together, where the heels, it's been going on for 50 years. The heels and faces go back and forth. I am so old school that it has to be. The faces are fake. The good guys are good guys, and bad guys are bad guys, and they don't change. Yeah. Now it's shocking where good can turn bad. You don't want to see it. The bad guys turning good, interesting. And that's where the tag team breakups. That's where they get very strange.
This is actually one of the complaints way, way, way back that the late Harley Race actually had about Ric Flair. Was the notion that Flair would go into these bars with everyone, regardless of face or heel, just people he liked working with.
Yeah.
And he would have these long drinking contests, and he thought it broke the whole character of the profession, that you're only supposed to associate with people that you're supposed to be teamed with in the profession, not with your enemies, which Harley refused to do as a competitor, so he was only with certain people that he was associated with at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised this just didn't get caught sooner until wrestlers started revealing this in different books that they wrote over the decades.
Louisiana, UWF Mid-South, Louisiana and Oklahoma promoter Bill Watts. Oh my God, he was so angry. He'd hit you, not fine you. When he found out either you lost a barroom brawl, and that's not even dealing with wrestlers, that's dealing with the patrons. Or he finds out in a restaurant, a store, an airport, that the good guys and the bad guys, faces and the heels, were together, hanging out together, and they're seen by the fans. He was furious about that. That was unacceptable.
That's what happens when they used to travel together, too. You see a bad guy and a good guy travel in the same car.
It was called very strong kayfabe. I wish someone would explain that word to me. It's an interesting, good word, but it's a very, very old word, meaning the separation of keeping it real to us.
Yeah. But that's what happened, and they do that because, in the ring, you're supposed to leave their life out there, but in the ring, you bring it in there, and then if you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy. That's what happens. But, when you got if you got no other ride to get there, that's when they used to do that. That's why they did it a lot of times, when the bad guy and the good guys are seen together. A lot of people were like, wait a minute, don't they hate each other? What's going on? I just saw them riding a car together. What's the name? Got arrested in a car once.
Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Duggan. Yeah, that was one of the most disturbing moments of breaking kayfabe. And Vince McMahon, he was furious. He pretty much suspended him for a little bit. He suspended him for a little bit.
You can't fault them. One of them didn't have a ride to get where they were going. And
they were supposed to be in separate cars.
Yeah, but how move you couldn't have the car?
Ironically, the story from Jim Cornette was the Midnight Express, the Rockland Express. I'm not sure it was Mid Atlantic. I'm not sure it was Mid Atlantic or Mid South that it just occurred. Jim Cornette said this story a few times. It's really interesting that what you don't see when the show's over with. The fans were so furious with the Midnight Express. It would be Dennis Conrad and Bobby Eaton, that they were being chased out. Their car was attacked. Ricky Morton approached with his car, and they went to the hotel together and got the Midnight Express and Cornette into their car. The fans were out to kill the Midnight Express. It was the Rockland Express that saved them. That was the fans did they or did not realize what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
I once did a long book report about professional wrestling, and I had one article was what's really real about professional wrestling.
But again, those are one of those pet peeves I used to have that I understood just had to fade away, because reality is, with everybody having access to different cameras now, you're just going to catch people. It's just not realistic that they're going to be able to separate themselves anymore.
Yeah,
and they acknowledged it too. They couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, you couldn't do it anymore because it's too hard, especially now. Because almost everybody got a phone and everybody's going to record what's going on. Mm-hmm. So what they try to do, if you notice now, when they do get in the cars, all the bad guys are in the same car, and all the good guys are in the same car.
Well, the WWE, they travel.
That's what I'm talking about.
They would travel by. They would travel by a bus. They would travel by a bus.
But bus,
they're not
airplane.
leaving by a separate car.
But I'm saying they still. If you watch WWE and sometimes they do it. They got this show called On the Road.
Ride along or
Ride along.
Yeah.
Ride along, and ride along. You see all the people in the car, but then they did sit there. They admit too much stuff on TV. Some of the wrestlers only have license to drive.
Oh yeah.
And that's what's so funny, because you imagine you driving a car and all four of us is in the car and none of us have license.
That actual thing you're describing is actually why Rob Van Dam lost the WWE title. What happened was, when he got caught and he was smoking marijuana, the reason why he was driving was he was the only person of the three wrestlers that were in that car that legally had a driver's license. He was in the car with Rey Mysterio and Sabu. Rey Mysterio was also smoking pot with him. The only person who was completely clean, and I don't know how that ever happened, was Sabu, who does not have that reputation.
I don't think with
and he wasn't drunk because he usually drinks. That's the thing with crazy.
If I'm not mistaken,
he was the clean supper.
If I'm not mistaken with the Iron Sheik and Jim Duggan's story, if I'm not mistaken, they told the New Jersey State Police, and then they realized who they were. They were superstar wrestlers. They weren't fine. They were like, go, okay, give us autographs, take pictures with us. The problem was it somehow the newspapers at the time caught up with it, and Vince and Pat Patterson, I think it was Duggan or Sheik. Duggan had to call. I'm not sure how the WF found out. Or Duggan and Sheik contact Pat Patterson and says, "Oh, we got pulled over by the state police in New Jersey Turnpike." I said, "You?" I said, somehow the company had already learned, and the newspapers. It was worse that the newspapers found out that two face and heel who had a big feud going on are in the same car together. Okay, it wasn't. I don't even think a fine occurred. Money. The police just took pictures and took autographs. That's not even a point. That the company and the newspapers were going to find out, guys, what the hell did you just do? That's what occurred. It was one of the most infamous moments of kayfabe break.
Yeah.
Especially in a feud. But one person you never pissed off, let alone Vince McMahon, was Bill Watts. There were so many stories of him. He was so angry that if you lost a barroom fight with just a regular patron, like a fan like us, you're in trouble because then you don't live up to your image as the big shot.
And one of them actually just took place for a legitimate reason, and they couldn't reveal why until somebody caught him on camera taking the shot of the reason. It just happened with Shane McMahon. He was off TV for the last 2 weeks. Nobody knew why. They were trying to write it as part of a story. And it turned out it had nothing to do with the story. It was something legitimate. An actual fan caught him with a shot in the courtroom while he was in court. Because apparently for the last 9 days, he was a member of a jury. And nobody knew.
He was jury duty?
Yeah, he was a jury member.
That's the story.
And that's the real story of what was going on.
Now, you want to hear a modern day...
took a shot of him apparently last Friday in the courtroom. Apparently after whatever was the finale of the case, they finally took a jury shot of him with Shane McMahon.
Now, I'm going to do a modern day kayfabe thing here, and I don't think I'm wrong with this one, and see if the AEW proves me wrong. With a case that new champion Chris Jericho lost his belt in a restaurant or airport. Can't confuse it.
Got stolen.
Yeah, somebody took the belt. The case, the title belt was in a case and was taken. It was the police found it.
Yes.
Okay, guess what just got scheduled? Cody Rhodes versus Chris Jericho for the title. Guess who's gonna be the new champion? Because I think they are punishing Chris Jericho for losing that title, and it made news. And again, so they're gonna have Cody take the belt from him.
I don't think so.
At no point do I think Chris Jericho ever lost that belt.
He did it deliberately?
No, I think at the whole time they had two belts, a legitimate belt and a belt to throw away.
Hello, Jose.
Right. And that's the belt that he allegedly just got tossed. was to create the story, because what it did was it created free press.
Yeah.
Which is what they needed.
But you know
It's stupid.
But you know where they found the belt at, right? They said they found it on the road.
Yeah.
Laying there on the road. Somebody found it on
Well,
the road.
when Steve Austin threw the belt in the river, the Intercontinental belt, it was probably just a
replica.
a second
It was a
belt,
replica.
but it's not the actual belt.
No, it was a replica. They ain't gonna sit there and... You think you're gonna be Rick Man gonna throw a rope belt? Let him throw a rope belt on the...
You gotta wonder...
All that stuff is set up, man.
You gotta wonder whatever happened to that time. If they
That
ever,
fake title was still
ever
underwater.
fished it out.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Somebody probably fished it out.
fished it out.
You know fans
or
was in
or they
there.
had a string of rope connected to it and they didn't see it.
No, it would have been fished out, because otherwise, whatever city they were in, I believe it was Boston, would have sued them for it.
Or somebody would have went
For
and
littering.
or a fan would have tried to go get it. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know, somebody would have tried to kill themselves just to get that belt. That's why, you know, come on. It's too obvious. You can see the camera rolling. Like when they do this stuff now, you can tell it's too obvious something's going to happen. Like they tried to kill Roman Reigns the other day, a couple Raw,
Right, you knew that.
SmackDown. They tried to kill him by knocking the scaffold down on top of him, but he didn't die.
No.
It fell a certain way. The way they're trying to do this stuff is so ridiculous.
Once in a while, you can make it look legitimate, and that wasn't one of those cases.
Yeah, you can tell, something's happening.
And that's what
that's my pet peeve.
And that's what Dusty Rhodes was legendary for as a booker. The unpredictability. You didn't know what was going on. It was totally real. Now, and I don't need to be the fan to say it's still real to me. I'm not gonna cry over it, kid. Dusty Rhodes made it so real that wow, what happened? Especially with Tully Slap Baby Doll. It's whoa, what did we just see?
Yeah.
It's something you did not expect it, and that's what wrestling is missing.
Where they recently did it, and there was only one screw up to it, was it was like 2 months ago. Paul Heyman had just taken over Raw, and within 12 hours of it, you had the incident with Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley, where all the lights went out for 20 minutes because they crashed in.
Yeah.
If it had taken place any other time, it would have seemed more legitimate.
Yeah.
But you literally had it 12 hours after they announced Paul Heyman was taking over, and that's what made me realize, okay, none of this is real.
you know when it's okay. The shoot interview companies are not gonna like me for this. When wrestling, I learned is I don't know whomever came up with the word fake. Do you know who taught me that it was fixed? Do you know who taught me? The wrestlers during the shoot interview tapes we collected. And when they start talking about their career and the way they start explaining how things were done, that was I didn't even pick up on it. It took several tapes and these wrestlers talking about their careers, and it's really, or you're surprised. Whoa, it was planned. And it was to shoot interviews, and I'm not gonna name the companies, but the shoot interviews. So many good big companies doing shoot interviews. I'm not, I'm not gonna label him as a kayfabe breaker because he's a great shoot interviewer. Hannibal, very good at shoot interviews, but is the wrestlers who expose. Yeah, ironically, they are exposing the business by talking about what was planned, what was supposed to happen. Is the wrestlers themselves talking about it? I really like Devin Hannibal TV. I really like his shoot interviews. There's other companies. I'm not gonna bring up them. That it's the wrestlers when they're talking about their careers. They are the ones. Ironically and unfortunately, they've exposed the kayfabe, and they want to blame other people, other situations, the promoters. They want to break. They will say Vince McMahon went on TV. Oh, this is under entertainment. You guys exposed it by going and talking about it on the shoot interviews.
Well, the reason why there's some people that it's not fake, it's set up. You know, the matches are set up. A lot of people gotta understand that because some people think it is fake. But let me slam you to to that ring, and then you tell me if it's fake or not. That stuff really hurts because as me, I wanted to become a professional wrestler. I only did it in the streets and I almost got into the minor leagues. And then that stuff it puts a toll on you. And they make a lot of mistakes. And like you said, they tell you what happened during the match. Like, oh, this was supposed to happen. It's like a dance. You gotta know how to dance.
They also call it a soap opera.
Yeah, But that's the story behind it. But a lot of wrestling, if it's wrestling, you see the matches and then you be like, oh, that's a good match, you know.
And you don't care if it's fixed, fake, plain. You don't care.
Well, some people
if
do
you
care.
You're a real fan. You don't care.
That's true. If it look good, you do care. Because if it looks set up, you don't want to see something set up. You want to shock value as you watch it.
Yeah, shock value.
You're like, oh shit, I didn't expect that to happen. You know, when you see two wrestlers wrestle, you say, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that to happen. And it happens. It's a good match. Usually, you don't even know who's going to win. You don't know because you're the fan. Some people do know, and they spoilers. They always tell you what's going to happen, who's going to win. Like in AEW, I just knew Jericho was going to win that belt. I just knew it. I knew he was going to win.
Why would they have they should have had a tournament like anybody else.
No, but and the way they did have a tournament, they had a regular match between him and somebody else.
Wow.
He won.
What, 4?
Right? He had a match, and then they had a battle royal. In the battle royal, the guy won.
It's like they did it halfway right. The battle royal to set up one of the contenders made sense.
Yeah.
But then I probably would have had some kind of short tournament to set up the other person.
It would have been better. Yeah, would have been better. But it was too short of a time for them to do that. But that's why they did it their way. But to me, it was a good match. You know, I seen what happened the last pay-per-view, and I knew he was going to win that belt.
Right, because you're when you're starting off on the network, you're gonna probably have your most famous name be your main headliner.
Yeah.
Even if it's only for a couple months as your champion to establish the other wrestlers.
Well, I think you're wrong that Cody's going to win. I don't think Cody's going to win.
It's just because of when with the loss of the belt and all of a sudden as soon as this story went over, Chris Jericho, but they announced Cody Rhodes.
No, I do think it'll be Hangman Page. It's just they got to build him probably for 3 or 4 months and let the television audience see if he's worth being the main guy.
Yeah, but it'll be a new champion soon. They're gonna wait till it gets on TV to become a new champion soon.
And now another pet peeve thing that annoyed us, and I'll totally agree with Jose. Jose brought it up one time in our past podcast, was the disqualification over the top rope.
Back in the day,
it's his pet peeve, so let him just go into detail on this.
That's what NWA. If anybody remember old school wrestling,
Southern wrestling are the only ones that really WWF never did.
Yeah, WWF
never did.
WWF. That's what before they take the F out. NWA always did it. They had over the top ropes. Good matches going on. You watching the match. Looks like the good guy's about to win. And the bad guy throws him over the top ropes. And you hear the bell rings. Ding, ding. Match over. I'm confused. Don't know what's going on. He threw him over the top ropes.
And say, so what?
Yeah, that's what I say. So what? Because I see people throw people over the top rope. So here go my pet peeve. Match is disqualified. Flair keeps the belt. I'm happy because I still like Flair. He needs a bad guy. Now, mind you, to me on the pet peeve, this is my main one. Go ahead. Battle Royal rules, you got to throw the guy over the rope. Why the bell don't ring?
I was going to say that too.
It would be funny if they would do that. I mean, back then, if it would have been funny. If the match would have started, you had 20 guys in the ring, and they ring the bell, and they all just stand there. Why? Because they're confused too. That's as much as me. Wait a minute. If I throw them over the ropes, I'm disqualified.
Now, what's funny is that they actually could have argued a legitimate reason why that rule existed, and they never touched on it, and that was their mistake. Because the difference between the main promotions was, in other promotions, outside the ring, you actually had a mat. Where in NWA, it was bare concrete.
Concrete floor.
So they could have argued, well, we have disqualifications because it's not safe.
Yes.
But then again, you can't publicly say we're not safe.
In 1992, when WCW went through so many management and the owners here, Turner owned it, but so many management changes, Bill Watts took over, and he was so old school. He wanted to keep the wrestlers in the ring. Hell, he didn't like the off the top of high flyer guys that do body presses. He brought back the over the top rope disqualification because he said, I want these guys in the ring, not outside. The over the top rope disqualification is, I think, a really asinine, a stupid way. Why don't you just hit the referee?
Yeah.
Do something else. This is so stupid of a way of her disqualification. Hit the referee like any chair heel would do. Yeah, a chair, a weapon.
Throw him over the ropes.
Over the top rope DQ is, I will use this word rather than a human being, a person who has mental problems. Over the top rope disqualification is truly retarded. It really is. The word retarded should apply to the over-top rope disqualification. Not a person that has serious, real medical problems. Retarded should apply to the over-top rope disqualification. The most retarded idea. If we can ever make a top 10 of the most stupidest wrestling ideas, probably over-top rope disqualification will be number 10.
Yeah. No, that's my.
It says, well, we could come out. What would be the various ideas of the stupidest ideas, excluding? I must include characters. Don't even bring up gobbledygooker, because everybody in the planet knows this is the stupidest idea. What would you guys say are among the top 10 stupidest things they ever possibly come up with? It doesn't have to be a wrestler gimmick. Can be, but gobbledygooker is number one, but I don't even want to include him.
They also got that stupid guy, Shockmaster. That was stupid.
That was a screw-up fault by whomever built the wall that he was going to crash through. Okay.
When he crashed through.
It is not the point that he fell down and the helmet fell. Okay, here's not the problem.
He forgot to step over.
No, that's not the problem. Here's the problem. Besides being alive, they should have pre-taped it. His helmet fell off. That's not the bigger screw-up. Okay, when he gets in the ring, now is he going to be an enforcer like what Kevin Nash was Diesel as a bodyguard? If he was going to be an outside gimmick, not a wrestler, he was going to be a stand, like Big Bubba Rogers was the bodyguard. If he was going to stand or be an enforcer and not a wrestler, how is he going to wrestle with a solid mask, a helmet?
And it was a Star Wars helmet.
Was actually
a glittered helmet.
And that actually was the dumber problem, because with the Star Wars helmet, eventually you're going to lose that helmet because that was going to be a lawsuit waiting.
Right. True.
The only reason there became a lawsuit is because they dropped it so quickly.
How is he going to wrestle? Okay, it's not a mask like the Lucha Libre guys wear. Okay, Rey Mysterio, Psychosis. I name 1,000 guys who are past 50 to 100 years of word masks to the Mexican Lucha Libre. How is this guy gonna wear a hard plastic helmet? It is like glitter glued all over it. Whether he could see through it or not, he was pointing at the heels, and Ole Anderson, again breaking kayfabe, admits he was the voice. He was the voice of the Black Scorpion. That wasn't a Ric Flair or a mask. How is he going to wrestle under that hard plastic mask, whatever the heck was made of? Okay, so he had to have been an outside. That is one of the top 10 stupidest. It is not the point that he tripped and the helmet fell off live on television, and Dusty Rhodes admits he was laughing like hell behind the stage. It's how would he have wrestled or been in place for a future event? He had to have been an enforcer like Bubba Rogers at the corner all the time. How would he have been a competitor, a wrestling competitor? No, he had to take the mask off. Then he'd see it. It's because he tripped and the mask fell off. He went to pull the mask back on and start talking.
The reality was they had no idea what to do with the characters, so they just threw whatever was available.
Yeah, it was stupid.
That's also part of the problem. When you don't actually plan out how to do these things, you're going to make mistakes. And
especially lucky they went live. Can you imagine if they went live?
That was live.
No, you say it was recorded.
No, it should have been recorded. It wasn't live, and that's more embarrassing.
That's why I don't get upset. I know a lot of people have the pet peeve about things being pre-recorded and pre-speeches. I don't get upset with it because of examples like that where a live mess-up can really mess things up.
And the unfortunate tragedy of Owen Hart is a case in point there. If they had the Blu-rays were pre-taped over top of God forbid watching Owen Hart drop to his death.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not thinking of that. That's obviously a tragic scenario, and that's just circumstances, and I get that. I'm more thinking about the one they hyped about revolving around Booker T.
Oh, that one. It was heat of the moment.
Let me rephrase.
It was heat of the moment.
Let us rephrase. WCW should be eternally grateful that it was Booker T who made that statement towards Hulk Hogan instead of Hulk Hogan towards Booker T.
Yeah. Now they said Vince McMahon has said it, and
he did.
I've never seen the tape of him saying it.
He did.
I'm not denying it. I just never seen it.
You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's John Cena. John Cena's walking towards the ring. And Vince McMahon walking by, and he says, "What's up, my?" And he says the N-word. He says it clear as day. And Booker T in the background, with his wife, says, "Tell me he did not just said that. Tell me he did not said that." His favorite line. And you can find it on YouTube. and you
Now-
will see him say the word, the N word, clear as day.
It was the point. Yes, the point was it was a black wrestler into a white wrestler.
And I guess he was
Pointing it
probably
out.
joking about it.
It is the way he said it.
Yeah, the way
Okay,
he said
if he applied the way he said he applied the word "a," it was said as a street term. It was not derogatory. There's the difference. Why everybody got away with it. It was said with an A ending in the word. It was a street term, not a derogatory, racist way.
The reason why it was a problem is when you remember when it was said.
Live television,
No, when it was said.
live Clash of the Champions. What are you getting at?
What year was it?
Off the top of my head, it's in the 90s.
Yeah.
But during
with the Rodney King situation?
Yes.
No.
During
LA
it or
riots?
before.
You got the right city, you got the wrong case. It was during the whole O.J. Simpson thing.
Yeah, O.J. Simpson.
That's why saying that live was a very bad thing. But grateful it was him saying it.
Yeah. But he catches himself saying it.
Yeah, he was Sherry Martell.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I am
am.
so appreciative of it because the face of Sherry is my favorite thing I've ever saw.
Crazy thing.
But that's why I don't get upset at the pet peeve that others have about scripted promos because sometimes live can really mess up.
One of the biggest scripted promo screw ups was you had to have seen it on YouTube because it was like a local promo. Was Ken Batera. Ken Batera in a WWE promo with Mean Gene Okerlund. He says, if I can't even say this phrase right, I'm gonna beat you like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
You know,
And
that
then it was Sid Vicious.
and that was not the most offensive thing Ken Patera's ever
And
said.
then Sid Vicious on live camera also said, I've got half the brain you do. There's some real screw-ups that these guys don't realize what they're saying.
Oh my god.
Well, another pet peeve of mine
Okay.
is when they try to push people on you. Like, you don't just seen this guy come out of nowhere. I don't know, just anybody, and they just make him become champion out of nowhere like that. I hate that. I think they should build him up, let him win a couple of months, then win the title. But when they just push people to win the title, it's kind of
In the old days, I'm not
In
sure
old
about
days,
the
you gotta work
60s,
your way up.
but definitely in the 70s.
or the 80s, you saw them work their way up to
No.
get the title shot.
In the 70s, I know I read in the title history books, definitely in the 70s. I'm not sure about how far back this goes. Where in case in points, Ted DiBiase, 1979, where he's called Billed as champion. He walks in the ring. He's got a title belt, and some people have not noticed, but nowadays he's got a title belt. What is he a champion of? Well, Ted DiBiase was billed as the WWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation North American champion, and people back then probably weren't confused. They're just seeing wrestling. Today, that would be very confusing. He's billed as the champion, and you're going to this company for the first time. Well, there was no tournament, there was no one-on-one, and there was no announcement. You see a guy billed as champion.
Yeah, I don't like it.
The only bright side of something wrong like that was it did establish his son later.
Yeah, I was surprised. I did not know that.
It did establish the reputation of his son doing the exact same tactic with the $1 million belt,
Yeah,
which meant nothing.
Yeah, we meant nothing.
You gotta be curious if the $1 million belt was as real as they say it was.
No.
Nah,
No.
it's just no way, man. There's nothing made diamonds.
No, because
Look at the Ric Flair's the gold belt.
right,
And
and
how real that was.
It was like mostly metal, but it was also dipped in gold. That's why.
right, it was gold
Dipped
plated.
in gold, it's different. It's not solid gold
No.
because that thing would have bent so many times.
No,
Gold do tend to bend. If you ever had gold, it will bend. It
Yeah,
will bend on you.
and it would have been much heavier.
Yeah.
Now here's a pet peeve or complaint that I would have today. Why WWE is gonna unfortunately succeed over everybody else is you got, let alone have TV, let alone have money, is a name for your company, and TNA, totally non-stop action. That was the original name under the NWA affiliation. TNA is not a wrestling a company name. AEW, All Elite Wrestling. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't fit. They come up with something because I could come up with probably a dozen fictional names.
That's what they chose, though.
My question is all the, and I don't know the answer to this, would any of those fictional names already been copyrighted by the WWE to prevent other
Well, I'm not
companies
paying
doing it?
$250. I'm not doing it for $250.
That's probably why it costs
legally find out.
Because who knows?
It wouldn't surprise me if a company like WWE intentionally did trademarks on so many other names just to prevent other companies from getting called back.
It
would not
that's
surprise
probably
me.
why. Because like I still on the NXT, I don't even know what the hell it stands for. For me, I don't. I never knew what NXT.
Next generation, probably next.
But again, we're still guessing. That's the point.
That's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
NXT to me, I mean, it's a good product. I like NXT. I've been watching it. To me, NXT is better than WWE.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one thing when I'm doing my front row review of Starcade and the other shows, the one thing that I found pet peeve annoying, the referees are constantly doing, and I don't know if they do it in the WWE anymore in the past 20, 30 years, is they constantly, okay, if you got the guy in a headlock or leg lock, some kind of grab, and the referee is saying, you want to give up? Do you want to give up? Do you want to give up? You want to go? That honestly God I found annoying. That you could hear, it was on camera, I don't know if you could hear in the audience.
You can always hear the referee.
Oh my God, but you could hear it the moment, it could be the first minute of the match, and he's got him in an arm lock, his arm is around his head, or he got him in a leg lock, and you want to give up, God, only first minute, 5 minutes of the match. It's not like it's a jobber match, these are two superstars, or big stars, they're going to go at it for 15, 20, half an hour, 45 an hour. And the referee is saying, you want to give up, you want to give up, you want to give up.
Now that,
oh my God.
That to me would be a pet peeve depending on whether or not it was on television versus a house show.
Mm.
A house show, that would not be...
Who's going to hear that?
But again, that's why in a house show that wouldn't be a pet peeve to me, because the referee is acting like a commentator because there are no commentators.
But the audience can hear the referee. What's the point of saying it?
Because now you would have screens showing the referees and the wrestlers, so they would see it. So in a house show, it would make sense.
I know a thing behind that. Believe it or not,
I agree with you.
Believe it or not, the referee is programmed to say that because it's giving the guy. If you notice when he goes touching them, he's trying to tell him, get ready for the next move.
Yeah.
Everything is set up in that ring, including the referee.
Yeah.
That may get on your nerve, him saying that, but actually the wrestlers got to hear it because sometimes they got to remember everything's scripted, like you said.
And they gotta remember.
They gotta remember.
If they go like half an hour.
It's like a count.
Is it like a code word, like saying referee? When a referee does this, okay, this is when you do something different.
Right. It's
based
like a
on
code
what
word.
the referee
And how many
says.
times he says it. Watch match and watch how he. I'll guarantee. Watch any kind of match. When they're asking the guy, "Do you give up?" Watch a match, any matches, and see how many times he says it.
Jesus.
And then you watch the guy gets up at a certain time.
Yeah.
He'll be saying no. He'll go no, no, no. Always say no.
Yeah.
And then no matter what, during the end of the match, sometimes it is a submissive match, and he never asks it, do you want to give up? During the end, the submissive match, when the guy taps that ring or touch his shoulder.
Yeah, I'll see that a lot with managers, depending on how many times they tap is when the end of the match happens, where they'll be 1-0, but if they do like a quick 2 or they do a boom, 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 will indicate whether to do a certain maneuver or
and then you can also, when you do the 3 count, you can watch the referee come down. Right before he comes down, the second count, he moves his hand towards the shoulder. Watch him, he goes through this like this, goes like that, and get ready to let you know that he's coming down on 3. And when he comes down on 3, he moves, and it's 2.5 counts. You gotta watch every match. Everything is, it's like a plan. And sometimes, believe it or not, referees do forget who's supposed to win the match. It happened many times.
Oh yeah.
What, I was supposed to count 3?
Which is why the more talented referees don't actually ever do a 3 count when they're not supposed to. What they'll do is they'll do a 1, 2, and they'll intentionally slide. They'll never do the hand going down. They just want to make it look like they're about to hit.
Yeah. It's a lot of practice. But the newer referees are learning, and that's how when they sit there, it does annoy me too, the pet peeve. Like, the match just started. Why are you sitting there, give up? I give up. The match just started. Come on. But it's there to remind the wrestlers, like the 3rd or 4th give up. When I say give up, do you give up? The 5th one, you supposed to get up. And then do you supposed to do? And that's what it's like.
When you brought up the way of submissions, that little huge pet peeve is nowadays they do a tap out. That is so lame.
But
why can't they do submission? I give up. I quit.
Because sometimes
yes.
you're so tired out of breath. If you watch the match, they're so tired out of breath. You can't say what you want to say. It can happen.
Actually, there's a more simplistic reason why they do it now. It's to make it look more legit because that's what's done in UFC.
You knew you were going to bring that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Or other mixed or MMA's, Bellator, whatever one you want to think of. That's how they do tap outs is that. Yeah. So that makes them look more legit by doing the exact same tactic.
But if you look at UFC,
I'm not saying it's justified. I'm saying that's why they do it.
But if you look at UFC, sometimes they got their mouth covered up.
Oh, yeah.
And so how you supposed to say, I'll give up? If I got you in a headlock, some kind of weird headlock that hurts you, and you can't go, and then you end up suffocating. So they go,
case in point, how lame a tap out is Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is such. He's like a guy. He's like a cut. What do you call it with the 6-pack cut? A huge guy. They make him like he's a monster, Andre the Giant. However, if you watch one UFC match, he taps out to an ankle lock.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, Mr. Big Shot taps out to an
because it was real. UFC is real.
They made this guy look like he's Andre the Giant. He's unbeatable.
UFC is more real than WWE. WWE is set up. Everything's set up to the match and everything. But if somebody was to put you in an ankle lock in WWE, it's not to hurt you. It's just both.
That was one of the things that made me appreciate the older days of UFC when you actually had weight differences in the competitors because you could see how often the smaller competitor was always going to win that match.
Yeah.
Because they would so target different
breaking
points of the larger competitors that the bigger guys never won.
Yeah.
Now I want to do a shout out to one thing we and you need.
I'm getting my pet peeve. Don't worry.
Hold on.
Go ahead. I got my pet peeve.
We have a rest in peace. I have a rest in peace piece of news to throw into this episode. I'm not sure how much of a legend, but he worked both the WWE and the early. I'm not sure which UFC he worked with. Japanese wrestler Koji Kaiteo passed away. I want to.
What was this?
A tragic rest in peace. I want to announce. It was announced I believe yesterday. It was announced that he worked in the WrestleMania in 1991. He said he worked with Genichiro Tenryu in a tag team match with Demolition in the 1991 WrestleMania. So I want to throw a rest in peace moment to Koji Kaiteo. The one thing, because I remember him working a UFC match. So we lost a Japanese wrestler.
It's a weird way to segue into what I was going to talk about. The pet peeve that I currently have is length of time of programs. And I mean every single program.
By an episode or a match?
I have, usually not matches. Matches with reason, but I'll get to that in a minute. I have an issue with any television show longer than 2 hours. I have an issue with any non-major pay-per-view that's over 3 hours. I have an issue with any show over 4 hours. The reasons for all of this, and you will see it if you ever watch any of these, is the level of audience reaction is different when it goes longer, when they don't have it paced right. It'll dip except for 2 or 3 big spots, so for at least half the show that's really a dead crowd.
Yeah.
The people who are watching it oftentimes will go watch other things or do other influences, so you'll have dips in ratings, so it makes no sense from that standpoint. And lastly, you just can't do this week after week after week. You just lose.
They did it for years and years and years with TV tapings.
Again, I understood I understood how all this came about. You were in a competition and you just got longer to compete. But
who did compete with?
Once the competition ended, it just got worse, and I didn't understand why.
Like right now, I don't make no sense to me either. It's like, to me, I understand that's a pet peeve of mine too. Like, especially I want to watch wrestling. When you put WWE on now, and the first, to me, the first half hour, none of them talking. They come out, who knows what talking about.
Right.
And then they wonder why they're losing all these viewers. I changed the channel because I'm bored already.
Terry Funk labeled and he said when he approached in the Performance Center and approached television when they were he said, "What are you guys doing talking in the ring. You work in the ring. You wrestle in the ring. You want to do. You want to promote your feud. Promote who? No, the I hate you. You hate me. You do it in a studio in front of a camera, not in the ring. Around 20,000 people. They're here to watch you guys battle it out. Terry Funk was very disturbed with that.
Yeah, that's why that's what like he was saying.
It's not so much even how that they do it; it's that they do it all the time.
Yes, they do it all the time.
Because they think we want to hear. If you smell the rock is cooking. I think he's another person also ruined it. Talk. I said, talk. That's a rock. That's why I don't like him. He didn't pay his dues. Yeah. Here's the other. Okay, one of the biggest pet peeves is the guys who talk, and oh man, Jerry Lawler labels him the most electrifying person in sports entertainment.
Yeah,
at least Hogan, he did his entrance. Did the match. Maybe he's much of a lame, that much of a wrestler.
Oh, he go never.
But Hulk Hogan's talking was in front of a camera, in front of a mic.
Can y'all agree to this one, a pet peeve of mine? If y'all thinking, no, when the pay-per-view starts, all right, like, you know, the feud's the feud. You know, if there's a match coming on, why do you always got to show what happened in the last few weeks? It's like, what, well, you wasn't paying attention? You know who was fighting. You know, let's say I was, you know, as an example, John Cena fighting Brock Lesnar. So they got a feud going on. You know they had a feud. You've been watching. If you've been watching wrestling for the last month or so, pay-per-view, and then right before the match, they show you everything they did right before the damn match, and so that's like another 15 minutes.
That's for people who did not. If you're brand new,
but it's stupid.
Maybe brand new.
It's stupid, but nobody's brand new. I think everybody know what's going on. Why will you order the pay-per-view?
We're in our 40s, and somebody is watching WWE for the first time at 20 years old.
That's different. I can understand that. But
brand new fans.
But brand new fans ain't gonna sit there. Okay,
they want to know how it's got to this.
You know, not necessarily, because if you watch the product. And you should know what's going on. And that's what's wrong with them, too. That's like my biggest pet peeve is that one. They always got to interrupt the matches by showing a big-ass, stupid feud thing, and then the match starts. That gets on my nerves, too.
One thing, sometimes it depends on the weekly or monthly pay-per-views that WWF started in the 90s, is they put a title match very too early, at first match, mid-match. When the title matches used to be the
main event.
Main event, it would lead to the climax of the show, and they started putting title matches at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. You know why they do that, right? Because the champion, whoever's the champion at the time, don't want to stay there and be there all day. They were like, look, man, make my match first. Like, for instance, the last pay-per-view they had when Brock Lesnar lost his belt, he wanted his match first again. He wanted to get out of there. He didn't want to be there.
Honky Tonk Man said that.
And he gets all this money from the company, but he don't want to be there.
But that also brought up the point that why didn't he want to be there? Well, why would you want to be in a 5-hour, 7-hour show?
Yeah.
Honky Tonk Man.
Just to wait for them, to lose.
Honky Tonk Man was asked during his interviews if
that's a good one.
WrestleMania 3, the 90,000 at the Silverdome. He was asked if they stayed and watched, say, the Hogan Andre match or Steamboat and
a lot of them say no.
No.
And Savage match, and they were. I think the interviewers were surprised. Is no, we went home. We're not gonna watch. Nowadays, they do watch the matches.
It depends who the wrestler is.
Yeah,
believe it or not, some of the younger ones will stay, but a lot of them will actually leave. They will actually leave because they gotta get ready for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, they gotta go. They gotta travel for the next show.
They gotta. True. They gotta go, and they gotta get their rest. Especially if it's like a ladder match or something that take a toll of you in a match, and then you're like, wait a minute, like they bring back the King of the Ring. Well, I kind of think they should never got rid of it, but now they're bringing it back. To me, it's stupid. Now they're bringing it back, but the next pay-per-view supposed to have a king of somebody gonna be the king. I don't know who's going to win, but I think it's stupid.
Another really stupid pet peeve is when they turn the Survivor Series into a lot more single matches. They went away from the tag team elimination matches with it started out. Yeah. And I know they made the biggest deal was 1997 with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and this should have stayed all tag team elimination matches. Right. If you put one single, okay, I don't agree. The Survivor Series was tag team elimination matches. I don't think you should put any single matches. If you want to start, do a dark match, single match.
Right.
The whole show's supposed to be tag team elimination matches. That was the point of the first 3.
Yeah. They changed the whole thing. There's just regular matches
Right.
thrown in there.
Right.
And they have maybe 1 or 2 Survivor Series matches, and that's it. And they take away from the whole concept.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought they made a mistake, because they could have really expanded and have some fun on this idea.
Yeah.
Because you could have had title matches in the Survivor Series
Right.
match itself,
Yeah.
which would constantly make your team thinking that your partners are going to betray you just so they can possibly win the title.
They did
Would
that.
have been interesting.
They did it with the hardcore title. How many times they changed it?
Well, now they got the new, they call it hardcore, but it's not hardcore. It's a 24/7 title belt. Was ridiculous
what?
too.
Okay, if we want to do the ultimate, I'm gonna do a last
That
pat
was
peeve. The
stupid.
ultimate one is what I mean. Why do they have? And they've been doing this ever since Vince bought out WCW. They've been trying to do this, and they made up their own version. Why do they need 2 world titles? They got a WWE title, now got a Universal title. Then they split the WCW title. Why do you need 2 titles? Okay, 2 world titles. That is so. I'm gonna apply the word retarded.
Now,
The reason why they did that, I know why they did that. Believe it or not, to try to keep the superstars happy. Because if you think about it, if you got 2 titles, whoever they put the belt on, he's making his money, and he gets a little bit more money with the title, and that's why they do it. And that's why they got 2 titles. Because remember, they got rid of one. They got rid of the world title. Because there used to be WWE and then the WCW World Heavyweight title, and
they tried.
They put it together.
They tried a couple times to unify it, and
They did
it only
unify
lasted,
it.
With Chris Jericho.
Right.
And
What I'm saying is they did it twice.
Yeah.
And it only worked for like a year or 2.
Yeah.
And it just didn't
catch on. Then they decided to make the Universal. It's like they mix so many titles. He makes sense though, because if you think about it, if you go way back,
Yeah.
when he bought WCW, he had the WCW title and the WWE title. He wanted to get rid of the WCW title because he's now the owner of. He wants to keep his brand. Well, he should have kept WCW. He should have kept
Yes.
it. It would have been interesting if he would have kept it. You know what I'm saying? Actually keep it, because then you was like WCW versus WWE at this time.
With this
It would
one,
make it very interesting.
when they do that stupid
That had to do with money.
the brand. No,
Oh yeah, I understand, but you still would make so much more money. Think about it. You will make more money, more product. Think about it. You're still selling WCW merchandise,
And again,
and you
and
still,
he owns
and then you
it.
got and you own it. Stupid.
And
Just
again,
to shut it down.
And again, I don't fault any of the wrestlers who decided they did not want to wrestle, because you had an option of taking less money to go on the road and wrestle, or take $15 million and sit home. What are you normally going to do?
That was the ass.
Sit home.
Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
gonna be foul language.
Yeah.
That was the asshole that made up the AOL Time Warner contract.
Which is why, again, I don't blame the wrestlers. If I'm the wrestlers, you're never getting that kind of money again. I don't blame them for
now
taking
with
it.
this, now totally agree. At least me and Jose are on the same page with it. With the WCW and
Now, today it makes sense to have 2 champions because of what's happening next month. Because you're going to be on 2 networks, each network is going to want their own champion.
give me a break.
But that's what's going to happen.
Because if you're the Fox network, you don't want USA, which is part of CBS,
yes.
to have the champion. You
That's
want to
right.
have your own champion
That's
too.
why that's why. And you know what they're doing, right? Right
So
before
I get it.
they're also having another draft.
Right.
They already had a draft.
Oh,
this year.
started
They're having
with draft crap.
Yeah, but you know why they're doing that, right? Because Fox
Why
want their
couldn't they-
stars.
Why do they need to make SmackDown and Raw 2 different brand companies? They should have kept WCW.
Yeah, that's what they said
and
they
they
did.
could have kept the goddamn feud going forever.
Yeah,
forever.
Yeah, he's stupid.
That draft between the 2 companies. McMahon, you own WCW. Did you forget all about that? What do? You told the wrestlers, I'm gonna bury the company. And the wrestlers from WCW, besides if they weren't on contract, they had to be rehired and interviewed all over
I'm not going to
again.
say the word that he said earlier. It starts with an R. But he was.
No, this
You
is
can say
where
it.
this is where pride got in the way of profit.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, yeah.
Yep.
He could.
A man who's
he
famous
beat-
for profit.
He beat
ignored
WCW.
it out of pride. He
Yeah.
wanted so badly just to wipe them out.
Yeah.
That he didn't
But he
care
didn't-
about the money he was going to lose in doing it.
That was this, I'm going to say the word again. It starts with an R.
Oh, well.
But, I got a funny feeling. And if Fox does what I think they should do, It'd be cool. It'd be cool. All right, you still got your champion, your world champion, but to make it popular, they need to bring back a TB title. What WWE never had was a TB title because NWA had it. But I think it should be called the Fox TV channel. And I guarantee you, if they do, you hear from me first saying it. First saying it here in our podcast.
That hasn't
watch.
I keep thinking somebody has had to have that copyrighted because it never became a title that WWE ever used, and I'm wondering why. And I kept thinking somebody has to have that copyright, and they just can't get it.
Maybe they can, but it still could say Fox TV champion because it's this Fox. And guess who owns Fox? You know who owns Fox, right?
Yeah,
Disney. So there you go. Disney can make them so popular by making a belt.
I think Disney's gonna own the planet eventually.
Soon, yeah. You never know.
They can own a certain percentage of everything, but they can't go above it, and they literally skirt that line.
Probably not. But do you think we got out everything that's annoying about wrestling? But I think we just scratched the surface. Maybe we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, still got many more.
There's so much more to go into.
You gotta be a part 2.
Yeah.